Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're visiting this video. On behalf of myself, Bill Hetling, the current president of the board of directors, and my good friend
Mike Peckham, treasurer.
We want to thank you for taking some time of your day today to let us review for a few minutes what we did in our February board of directors meeting. First off, we'd like to go through the treasury review. And so, Mike, if you can take us through the financials, that'd be very much appreciated.
Thanks, Bill. You'll see on the slide the key performance indicators, which we monitor every month. We have 3.5 months of operating cash, which is right within our target area. We always want to make sure we have enough operating cash to meet any current liabilities and payments that are required in the next month or so. Our current ratio, which is the excess of current assets, or the ratio of current assets to current liabilities, again to make sure we're liquid, is at 1.2, which is our actual target. So we're right on target. Our year-to-date operating surplus at the end of January was $36,000 compared to a budgeted deficit of $19,000. So we were ahead of the game, and I'll talk about that in a second as well. Our assessment collections in the month of January were $1.16 million, which is about 92% of the total assessments. That's a little bit below where we were last quarter, and so we'll be monitoring it closely when we get our February results. But again, we're not anticipating any significant issues. So going back to the P&L, we had revenues in the first month of about $295,000 and against a budget of $292,000. So we're over budget by about $3,400. On the expense side, we were sitting at $260,000 compared to a budget of $311,000. And even though we're below budget there, which gave rise primarily to the surplus we recorded as opposed to the budgeted deficit, this is very early in the year, and we'll obviously see fluctuations from month to month. So we're not assuming we're going to be in a positive position at the end of the year, a surplus position at the end of the year, but we'll continue to monitor it closely. A couple of things to mention on the expense side is that this month, for the first time in a long time, we had positive contributions from the Spa and Fitness Center and from our banquet business. So, you know, we made certain changes last year. As you know, we worked on the Spa and Fitness Center to update it, to remove some of the risks that were there and to update old equipment, as well as put a fresh new look. And that has turned into positive results with our membership growing and the level of service is growing. So again, we will monitor that closely throughout the year to make sure we achieve the targets, or better yet, overachieve them. Bill?
Thanks a lot, Mike. And our next piece of business was having a guest presentation from Captain Brian Perrone, and he is from the Arizona Department of Forestry and Fire Mitigation. The department will be doing our fire mitigation for the next couple of years. Captain Perrone was there to discuss the process of fire mitigation and the crews that he'll bring in to do the scope of work. There was a good discussion about the crews. The crews are certified firefighters. They're hotshot firefighters that work on all the fires, brush fires within the state, and they'll be the ones that are doing the work. A question and answer session was done for not only the process, but the crews. As I said with Captain Perrone, the crews are low-level felons, and they will be the ones that will be doing the work. However, there was a good conversation about the state of Arizona, the insurance that the state of Arizona has for their crews, and the quality of work that these men and women will be doing in our enclaves in our common area. The next point of business that we worked on was approving the cachet amendments to allow the folks in cachet to be able to change the reserve processes, and that passed with a unanimous consent from the board. Christine now then went through her management report and her management review, which you can see on the minutes that she'll put up on our website in detail. A sad part of our evening was accepting the resignation of one of our directors, Joe Trotter. Joe has been an outstanding member of the board. He's also been an outstanding member of two of our committees, one of our architectural design committees, as well as our communication team. So he will be greatly missed. We will be sending out applications to replace Joe or to look for someone from the community to step up and fill the term through November. So if you want to come and volunteer for that position, please look for the application and fill that out and send that in.
And Bill, I'd like to just take a second to thank Joe as well. He was a great collaborator on the board with us and a fine individual, and he will be dearly missed.
That is very, very true. And you're right. Very dearly missed, and really a great voice of pragmatic views on the board.
Absolutely.
Next, we went through a conversation about changing the way we handle our short-term FDIC-backed funds. And so, Mike, I know you were on the Finance Committee for that. Can you take us through that a little bit?
Yes, we're always looking at ways to improve our return on the assets we have, and in this case, it's specifically cash. So you heard me mention we do keep cash, a number of months of operating cash available. What we are looking to do, starting in March or possibly April, is to invest some of those months of operating cash on a short-term basis with laddered CDs. Again, this is all FDIC insured, and so there's minimal, if not no risk at all in the kind of investments. We'll be doing this for not only Lascendis, but for the two benefited areas who have smaller cash accounts available, but still we can improve on the return. And those funds obviously assist in reducing the need for assessment increases or to contribute to reserve funds as well. And so that's for Windsong and Lascendis Mountain. Happy to answer any questions from anybody related to that, but it should have a positive effect overall on all three areas, Lascendis, Windsong, and Lascendis Mountain.
One of the next areas that we had quite a bit of discussion on was the prioritization of our community projects and objectives for 2020 and beyond. The committees have done a wonderful job fleshing out the projects that they are working on, putting a monetary capital investment amount on each one of those, as well as the time needed to deliver against the different projects that they have been working on. All that was brought up to the board, and you'll see a list of projects that we have all agreed to on the board to work on for 2020 and beyond. So the list for 2020, as you see now, is putting together a final solution for our investment advisory firm selection, the assignment of the CPAG image study recommendations, which we'll talk about a little later in our presentation, the assignment of the short-term rental project working group, which we will also discuss a bit later in this video. We're going to start our strategic planning process with a subgroup of the board. And then we will also have the commencement of our fire mitigation projects. We'll start working on the vehicle gates, updating those, as well as updating some playground equipment that we have deemed in dire need of repair and replacement. We're going to actually put out our RFP, our bid for landscape tree trimming and turf management. And then we're also going to start working on a singular amenity control system for the tennis courts, the pickleball courts, and the swimming pools. As an ongoing project, we will always look at increasing and enhancing the beauty of our landscape at our entrances, as well as some of the enclaves that need to be worked on and improved. For 2021, we'll be looking at accelerating our tree removal and irrigation updating, as well as having a conversation about replacement and relocation of the Carolyn bells. In 2022, we're going to work at updating and or repurposing the trailhead members club space. And in 2023, we will look at our dog park recommendations going forward. We next had a conversation from the Finance Committee. The Finance Committee brought forward their recommendation for an investment firm. We had four investment firms come and make presentations to us, and we came out with an outcome that evening on an investment firm, and I'll let Mike take us through that process.
Thanks, Bill. This process, the Finance Committee, obviously the board has a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that we're getting the best value for the money we pay. And in this case, it dealt with investment firms. So in the past, we have had Wells Fargo Bank handling the investments, and they've done a good job. So it was nothing against Wells Fargo Bank. This was just normal business to go to the marketplace. This process was run by the Finance Committee, started in March of 2019, when the committee went out and researched firms. We reached out to those firms with a request for proposal in the July timeframe. As Bill said, there were 4 firms that responded. I think we actually reached out to 5. And we went through a full evaluation, including on-site interviews with all of the principals from the various firms. We ruled out one firm quickly. We felt they were just too small for us, still a reputable firm, and that left us with 3, which was PMA Financial Network, Vanguard, and of course the existing advisors, Wells Fargo Investment Advisors. After a full evaluation by the Finance Committee using a series of criteria to rank the various firms, the Finance Committee came forward with a recommendation for PMA Financial Network. And the Finance Committee felt that PMA had the resources and the background knowledge that would be very beneficial for Losendis and our investment portfolio, with the majority of our investments, a minimum of 70% in fixed income kinds of investments, types of investments, and 30% in equities and other kinds of investments. So the Finance Committee came forward to the board, made the recommendation, and the board approved bringing on PMA Financial Network to be our advisors going forward. That transition will take place over the next month or 2, and we're quite excited about getting to know and work with PMA. Bill?
Thanks, Mike. As most of you know, landscape and keeping all of our property beautiful is a large portion of our budget, over a third of our budget. And so the Landscape Committee has been working very diligently putting together an RFP, request for bids and proposals for not only the general maintenance of our community, but also tree trimming and turf management. The committee brought that forward to us. It was an in-depth conversation. It's a very, very in-depth, very well-done contract, which will be let out in the next couple of weeks to be bid on, and we look for making a decision on our landscape vendor or vendors sometime at the September timeframe. Next conversation was through our short-term rental working group. The short-term rental working group has been together since spring of 2019. They brought forward some of the highlights of what they're working on and what they would like the board to do. Some of those things are drafting a letter to Governor Ducey and the legislature and the Mesa city government in refining and revising how they look at short-term rentals within a community of ourselves, as well as talking about processes going forward to help us change or amend our CC&Rs to make it a better opportunity for both renters and year-round residents when it comes to our rental properties within the community. The last group to come forward was our community advisory group. They've been working on image studies, and they brought forward the work that they've done on the image of Las Sendas, both within the community and outside of the community, and how we will position ourselves within the broader scope of communities that we compete with for new residents and for investment. The positioning statement that was brought forward and approved is surrounded by beauty, connected by community. This positioning statement will be brought to the communications committee to be worked on within a broader conversation of brand guidelines, developing brand guidelines and brand management with a good, strong communication plan going forward to bring Las Sendas to the wider communities and prospective buyers that we're seeing now in the marketplace. We then had the rest of our community updates and then resident open forums. So that's all I think we have to discuss today, Mike.
I think so.
And once again, thanks for listening to us. You'll also have the opportunity to read the minutes and the updates on the website as well. We look forward to seeing you in our March Board of Directors meeting.
And we hope you find these videos informative and helpful. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Best to go through the trailhead here.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.